So you're going to be left with a neat design, and the beauty of the offset path is that the curvature of the design here perfectly reflects the curvature of the shape in the bottom left. However, things are not as clean as they could be, because if we go into the layers panel, we notice something's not quite right. There is a layer hidden here below the black design shapes. Taking the design off of the artboard, it becomes obvious to see, but this isn't an issue, however, because we can just easily drag it into the trash like so. Anything in Adobe Illustrator. So here's a handy artboard hack that very few designers know about, and this really helps for exporting designs and then sending them to the clients. So I'm going to drag my logo off to the artboard for a moment and make sure it's still highlighted. Then come and grab the artboard tool here. If you hold down shift, you'll notice the cursor icon changes, as you can see right here. And then if you click the logo, Illustrator will make a perfect artboard that touches the edges precisely on your design. And you can then select the original artboard and delete it by pressing backspace if you want to. And this will leave a new artboard as a dominant one on your project. Again, this does help if you want to precise artboards and want to export the design in this way. Perhaps for the client to say, ooh, great job. Or maybe something along the lines of, nah, please make it up. This next logo process is great for those creative typographic logo design projects that you might actually have. Now here's some pretty neat logo type. And if you're wondering, this typeface is Pacifica. Okay, so with your logo type selected, come to the free transform tool, hold down a click, and then navigate to the puppet tool. And we're going to use this tool in combination with another one for a perfect match in Illustrator. But with this puppet tool, you will have some anchors already set for your typography, but we can click to add new nodes or anchors like so. Adding nodes will allow your logo type to remain locked in position in that area while you make edits in other areas. And this can be a lot of fun, and you can take somewhat generic and regimented typography and really add some character to it. However, in doing so, you might notice some unwanted effects as seen right here. For these, I like to press A with the ring selection tool, then grab the smooth tool. You might want to actually double click the tool in the toolbar and adjust the smooth settings. But yeah, when you use these two tools in combination in unison, you can create some original and interesting logo type. When designing a logo, people often gravitate to the pen tool for some reason. And sure, this is a valid method, but an easy and a clean way to design logos is to make use of preset shapes. As an example here, I'm working with a rectangle. But what logo do you think this is going to end up to be? But yeah, using shapes is not only quick, it allows us to design a real-life logo design project. The most important part in any logo design project is arguably the first few phases. And in case you're wondering, aileron for the typography is a strong presence in today's video. I know you guys love to know which fonts I'm using. So discussing the project with the client early on is really, really essential. You need to know everything about the client, their business, their goals and their pain points, and also their target audience. So let's get to know the client for this project, and let's travel on that journey of the logo design process. The client for this specific logo design project reached out to me and described the situation in short. They were a new brand planning to launch in the jiu-jitsu world and had no logo or even a brand name. And that was their main fundamental problem I had to solve. This initial message is only one section, of course, but the first main action I did was to pull up some keywords of interest that would really help me later down the line. You might be asking how a keyword's going to help you, how far can it actually go? But they simply help you better understand the project and the direction of the brand and the logo. So obviously, jiu-jitsu is going to be one keyword, and then I have things like teaching, people, team, strong, and community. These words all describe the business and overall feeling of the brand. But trying to think of the project in this way early on really will help you later down the line in your logo design project. So in case you guys don't actually know, here's a brief description of what jiu-jitsu is. It's a martial art my logo and brand needed to relate to. And of course, also the jiu-jitsu community had to jive with my logo design and brand name. One of the first methods I used for research here was to actually make mood boards, and I often find them pretty useful. They can help to build a picture or a vibe of the business and the client, as well as the project direction. This is just one part of my mood board, and as you can see, typography is mainly a bold transfer of font in other existing designs. And also, there's quite a strong sense of geometry in a lot of the designs. Now, as I conducted more and more research, it became obvious to me that a serif font would not work for this brand. Serifs are way too formal and traditional, and they wouldn't fit the narrative for a martial arts studio or any kind of sporting logo. One huge part of my logo design process, and something I mentioned in the logo design process e-guide, is the use of keywords. I actually asked the client in the initial stages to send over some keywords that relate to their brand and the message of the company. And these are some of the important ones that I pulled out from that list. I added to the list myself as well, but these keywords did help me build up concepts later in the logo design process. And you yourself should aim to get these keywords from your clients as early on as possible. But one crucial thing to keep in mind is that these keywords, they should resonate with the target audience of your client's brand. So as an example, in this specific project, that would be people who potentially would sign up to jiu-jitsu school or class, and these people would likely want to have a sense of speaking. So for example, grip might be a fist in some way. And this is where the creative side of things starts to come into play in the process. But yeah, I wanted to add jiu-jitsu at the very end of the brand name to incorporate the brand name. It's often things like this, these small details that do leverage your logo and give you some good talking points and some kind of legs to stand on in the pitch to the client. Now I went on and applied more shape psychology and made sure to include straight edges so the logo does conform to a strong, robust nature.